I'm Heather.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Morton. All right, today we're going to be talking about industrial agriculture as a wicked problem. So, many different factors lead to industrial agriculture being a wicked problem. The rising population means there's more need for food, but also the meat consumption per person has risen in the United States. We're also going to talk about what a CAFO is and the problems with those, and how monoculture crops versus polyculture crops are changing the way that agriculture affects the planet. And we're going to talk about the water usage and the ethical treatment of the animals. So, the US population has risen by over 129 million in the last 50 years alone. But US meat production is up to 46.83 million tons a year. This is a significant growth that isn't in line with the population growth. The rate of meat production is rapidly growing in comparison to the population. These CAFOs, this is a picture of a cattle one. They basically pack as many animals as they can on the land, feed them until they're big enough to use as meat, and they're not exactly sanitary. A lot of this waste is going back into the groundwater in these areas. The animals are not well taken care of. It produces cheap meat, and that's about it. It doesn't keep them healthy, it doesn't keep them clean. With monoculture crops, it is an issue. They are more susceptible to bugs and more susceptible to dust and wind taking the dirt away. That's part of what was the problem during the Great Dust Bowl, was these farmers tearing out all the plants, and then they were left with these monoculture crops that they had grown and nothing left to protect the fields once they harvested. Water usage in the United States right here, about 40% goes to agriculture. Globally, about 70% of freshwater usage is for agriculture. This is a huge problem. You know, there's a limited amount of fresh water in the world, and to have 70% of it go towards growing our food and things like that is a huge problem. And the ethical treatment of animals, obviously animals would much rather be out in a field grazing somewhere instead of having their tail docked or being branded or castrated without any anesthesia or any pain relief. These are all things that these CAFOs are allowed to do without any consequences. So the stakeholders in industrial agriculture are the consumers. They want cheap food costs. This graph right here shows the average cost of a pound of ground beef over the past 10 years. You can see it fluctuates a little bit, but it's generally around, $3 to $4, with little spikes here and there. A lot of consumers want nutritious choices, and a lot of them actually want to make ethical choices as well. It is a big deal to a lot of people when making their decision on what to buy and where to buy it from. The farmers, they need to make a profit. This is their livelihood. They need some form of stability, but they also want to provide healthy food for the consumers. The corporations are the big companies that own the CAFOs. They need to be efficient, they need to make money, and that's all they really care about. They don't care about the communities that they're in, the water that they're polluting, and different things like that. The animals are also huge stakeholders. They're the main focus of a lot of this agricultural issues. They deserve animal rights. They should live happy lives, even if they are eventually one day going to be meat for someone to eat. They don't deserve to live in misery until that day comes.
So if we want to transition to a future where we have less CAFOs and less meat consumption, that's going to take the work of four major parties. And we're going to start with the consumers. The consumers are really the ones driving this issue because they are the ones demanding animal products. So if we want them to consume less animal products, then we're going to need to educate them on the ethical implications of their purchases, and then also educate them on labeling, proper labeling, and which labels actually mean something, but also educating them on options other than animal products. So you see in front of me I have some options, some animal-based products and then some plant-based products. Really, you can find anything you want nowadays that is plant-based that you used to love that was meat-based. So corporations are also a part of this, is they want to meet consumer demand. So if they're seeing consumer demand is calling for more ethical purchases, they could really move towards cultured meat, which is meat that's grown in laboratories, and it is very expensive at the moment, but it shows great promise in the fact that this is meat and meat cells that are grown in a lab, so you don't have an animal consuming these resources, you do not have an animal creating waste, and it's also far more ethical because you're not causing any suffering to the animals. So another option with corporations is, could there be a B-type corporation for animal farming? Could there be some sort of social or sustainable benefit that we could get from these animal farms? And they could bring back something to society, so that would be interesting to see how those trade-offs could work out. Farmers need to almost transition backwards into regenerative farming practices where we have the animals are part of the plant and crop growth, and their movement on the land and their grazing is creating healthier soil through their waste, and so we don't have to introduce artificial nitrogen or phosphorus, that it is coming naturally from the animals. These transitions for farmers will take time and they will take money, so we need the government to subsidize them and help them achieve these sustainability goals. The government also plays a role in creating environmental regulations with the corporations and really monitoring the nitrogen and phosphorus levels in our waterways to see the cost that we are paying for these large CAFOs. It could be very possible with government regulation that the cost benefit for the corporations to run these CAFOs is no longer beneficial or profitable to them. So there are some few changes that need to be made if we really want to transition into a future where we have less CAFOs. There are quite a lot of things that you can do as an individual to lower the numbers of CAFOs. 3 things. First thing is you can consume less meat, so maybe a meatless meal or a meatless Monday. The second thing that you can do is really educate yourself on the labels and what they mean and make sure that you are buying ethical products. And the third thing is that you can vote and vote in politicians that care about the environment and care about these issues. Lots of little changes will make a great change. Thanks for watching.